Hi, welcome back to the Cordless Vacuum Guide, and in this review, we'll be looking at one of iRobot's least expensive auto-empty robot vacuums, the Roomba i3 Plus. This model is one of the more popular Roomba options in online stores like Amazon, more than the S9 Plus, despite not having as much power, and a big reason why is the more affordable cost. So how good is this robot? Is it better than the more expensive i6? I've spent the past few days putting it through my usual series of tests to find out. So let's get into it. First, we'll look at the features and where the i3 stands in the Roomba hierarchy. The i3 Plus is currently the least expensive auto-empty Roomba option in iRobot's lineup, offering consumers a more affordable alternative with the clean base station. One reason iRobot could bring the price down is the absence of a top-mounted camera and imprint smart mapping found in the more expensive i6 and i7 Plus. However, not having the camera means the i3 cannot recognize its surroundings and won't have the advanced navigational features found in Roomba options with it. The i3 Plus utilizes the same round frame as the i7, but with a gray textured fabric-like finish on the outer edges. The button layout also remains the same, but without the camera. It has the same layout underneath as the i6 and i7, with the latest dual extractors and a single side brush. One issue with the side brush is it spins at a high velocity. Not a big deal for daily jobs, but it can be for big messes, which I'll expound later. The spin capacity is below average at just 400 milliliters, but if you opt for the Plus version with the clean base station, dirt volume shouldn't be an issue. iRobot recently added another variant, the i4 Plus, which has similar features but with a larger battery, so it runs longer, though you have to pay a bit more for this upgrade. Even without a top-mounted camera, the i3 can move in straight lines like its more expensive siblings, but it won't be as smart. It relies primarily on an optical sensor right here underneath in conjunction with gyroscopes and wheel odometers to create a temporary map and track location. And because of this, it has the recharge and resume feature absent in random navigating Roombas like the 675 and E5. So going back to the option between the i3 and i4, I'd still go with the i3 unless you live inside a big mansion where the longer runtime will be beneficial. This sensor combination is a similar one found in the Roborock E series. Still, one advantage iRobot has is it can go around the area twice via the app, which provides better thoroughness. However, it cannot save maps since it doesn't have SLAM and a top-mounted camera found in the I or S series robots. Without map saving, features like keep-out zones, clean zones, and selective room cleaning won't be available. One advantage the i3 has over camera-based Roombas like the i6 and S9 is it doesn't need any light source to function, since it doesn't have any camera. You can run this robot in complete darkness, and it will go around without a hitch. The i3 clean base station is similar to the i6 and i7, with the same bag capacity of around 2.5 liters more or less. It's a bag design, like most auto-empty options, and will empty the dustbin automatically after every run. There aren't many options in the app with auto-empty frequency, which keeps things simple. But there is a button in the app's main interface for quick access in case you need it. iRobot says the i3 has smart navigation, but unlike the i6 or S9, it doesn't have a camera. Instead, it relies on what iRobot calls floor sensors to feel its way around. One of these sensors is an optical sensor right here that it uses to create a map, but it won't save them since it doesn't have SLAM or a top-mounted camera. Regardless, it still moves in neat rows, and it appears to have a crisscross pattern as it moves in the direction of the clean base station in the first pass, then across in the subsequent one. This brings me to my next point, the i3's thoroughness, which is excellent for a robot vacuum that relies on an optical sensor and gyroscope. Compared to a similar robot, the Roborock E4, the i3 is much better in this area, though it took longer. The result in the coverage test was decent, picking up most of the quicker roads scattered. It did excellent at cleaning the edges on both sides of the clean base station, but it missed this spot, and there were trails left even after the 2-pass run. One reason is the fast spinning side brush, scattering portions of debris away from the extractors. It's an issue not only with the i3, but also with other round-shaped robots with a fast spinning side brush. Another improvement iRobot put in the i3 over the 600 and E series is its less aggressive algorithm, so it doesn't bump into furniture as hard, and it didn't struggle navigating through furniture like this office chair compared to a 675 or E5 that would sometimes wedge itself if it approaches it at a certain angle. The i3 won't have this issue as it doesn't go as aggressively, so it's one less thing to worry about. Airflow is subpar with only 7.27 CFM in its single power setting, which is in the same range as the i6, E5, and 675. The good news with Roomba products is it doesn't rely heavily on airflow, as the counter-rotating extractors have good enough agitation for daily cleaning. I see this in play in various cleaning tests on different debris types. It did reasonably well despite the low airflow based on the eye test and measured tests. It picked up all sorts of debris from small coffee grounds to extra large stuff like Fruit Loops without any issues. Again, agitation is excellent with the counter-rotating extractors. However, it does struggle with heavier debris like pet litter. The low airflow is apparent during this test as chunks were left hanging on this area before the dustbin. The percentages between the i3 Plus and i6 aren't far off, and one reason why the i3 scored slightly lower was the side brush scattering debris, but it wasn't as bad as random navigating Roombas like the 675 since it moves in a more predictable pattern. Despite the low airflow, it did well in the deep cleaning test, where I used 100 grams of sand and rubbed it on mid-pile carpet. It picked up an average of 84.7% in 3 tests. Slightly better than the i6, but not as good as high airflow Roombas like the 980 and S9. It was decent in the edge cleaning test even with the round frame, picking up most of the debris I scattered here. But it didn't pick up debris on this quarter-inch crevice, which is another sign of the weak airflow. One advantage these rubber extractors have over an older Roomba bristled brush is its better resistance to hair tangles. So I tested the i3 with 5 and 7 inch strands, and it was decent with 5 inch strands, picking up 58%, but only 40% with 7 inch hair. But the good thing with these extractors is it's easier to clean. You don't need to use scissors, as hair easily comes off. The i3 isn't noisy, only maxing out at 64.9 decibels based on the sound meter test. Runtime will be similar to the i6 or i7 at around 75 minutes, since it uses the same 1800 mAh lithium-ion battery. As I've said earlier, if you need something that will run longer, consider the i4 with a larger capacity battery, with a claimed runtime of 100 minutes, or 25 more minutes than the i3. Runtime shouldn't be an issue with the i3 as it has recharge and resume, so even if it runs low, it recharges then resumes cleaning afterward. To conclude this review, the Roomba i3 Plus may not perform as well as the S9 Plus, but you'll only spend roughly half of what you'll pay for the S9. Cleaning performance is at par with an i6, with slightly better deep cleaning results, so it shouldn't be a deciding factor. One distinguishing aspect between the i3 and i6 is the map-saving feature absent in the i3. While it can move in neat rows, you won't have access to features like keep-out zones and selective room cleaning. So the question is, do you need these features or not? If the answer is no, then the i3 would be a good alternative that won't cost as much. But if selective room cleaning or keep-out zones is a must-have, then go with the more expensive i6. Let me know what you think about the Roomba i3 in the comments section, and if you have any questions. If this video has been helpful to you, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified for future reviews like this. Links are in the description for more information. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.